The bill no one expected. A story of grace and second chances. Thomas Gardner was running late. At 62, he'd learned that some things were worth rushing for, and others weren't. A blind date arranged by his well-meaning sister definitely fell into the second category. Still, he'd promised Janet he'd try. 3 years of polite refusals and she'd finally worn him down. "Just coffee, Tom," she'd said. 1 hour. "Her name is Claire. She's kind. That's all I'm going to tell you." Thomas pulled into the parking lot of the Riverside Café, a quiet spot overlooking Lake Washington. Through the window he could see her, a woman sitting alone at a corner table turning her coffee cup in nervous circles. He took a breath and walked inside. Claire looked up as he approached. She was perhaps 55, with gentle lines around her eyes and auburn hair pulled back in a simple clip. She wore a navy cardigan that had seen better days, but her smile was genuine. "Thomas?" she asked, standing. "That's me. You must be Claire." He extended his hand and she shook it firmly, a good handshake. His father had always said you could tell a lot about a person that way. They settled into conversation more easily than he'd expected. Claire was a retired teacher, now working part-time at a bookstore. She'd lost her husband 5 years ago to a heart attack, sudden, no warning, the kind of loss that reorganizes your entire world in a single moment. Thomas understood. His wife Elizabeth had been gone 4 years. A stroke while gardening. She'd died doing what she loved, everyone said, as if that made it easier. "My sister is relentless," Thomas said with a soft laugh. "She's been trying to get me out of the house for years." "Your sister and my daughter should compare notes," Claire replied. "Emily practically pushed me out the door this morning, said I needed to remember what it felt like to have a conversation with someone who wasn't her or my cat." "You have a cat?" "Mr. Whiskers, he's 17 and opinionated." Thomas smiled. "I have a dog, Bailey. She's a golden retriever who thinks she's still a puppy despite being 12. The conversation flowed naturally. They talked about their children, their gardens, the books they'd read. Claire had a quiet intelligence and a way of listening that made Thomas feel heard. Really heard? It had been a long time since anyone had listened like that. An hour passed. Then 2. "I can't believe it's already noon," Claire said, glancing at her watch. "I should probably." "Would you like to stay for lunch?" Thomas asked. "I'm enjoying this." A flicker of something crossed Claire's face, hesitation, worry. But then she smiled. "I'd like that." They ordered sandwiches. Claire chose the simplest thing on the menu. Thomas noticed but didn't comment. They continued talking, sharing stories about their late spouses, about the strange loneliness of being a widow in your 50s and 60s. How people either pitied you or avoided you, unsure what to say. "Elizabeth used to say I was terrible at small talk," Thomas said. "But with you, it doesn't feel like small talk." "I know what you mean," Claire said softly. "It feels like real conversation, the kind I forgot existed." When the server brought the check, Thomas reached for it automatically, but Claire's hand shot out. "No, please," she said. "Let's split it." "I don't mind treating. I insist." There was something fierce in her voice. Pride, Thomas recognized, the kind that comes from rebuilding your life one careful step at a time. The server left the check between them. Claire opened her purse and Thomas saw her face change. The color drained away. Her hand started fumbling through the contents, searching, checking, searching again. I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I thought I grabbed my debit card this morning, but it's not. I must have left it on my dresser when I changed purses." Her voice was shaking now. "I'm so embarrassed. I can run home and get it. I only live 15 minutes away, or I can write you a check." Thomas gently took the check. "Claire, it's on me." "No, I can't let you." "It's not about letting me." Thomas looked at her kindly. "It's about one friend buying another friend lunch. That's all. But we just met." "Did we, though?" Thomas smiled. "Feels like I've known you longer than that." Claire's eyes filled with tears. She looked down, embarrassed. "I'm not usually like this. I'm organized. I'm responsible. Everything's been so tight since David died. The pension isn't what we thought it would be, and the house needs repairs, and I'm working at the bookstore, but it's only part-time." She stopped, mortified. "I'm sorry. You don't need to hear this." Yes, I do, Thomas said quietly. He paid the bill and then looked at her. Claire, can I tell you something? She nodded, wiping her eyes. I run a software company. Built it from nothing 30 years ago. I'm what people call successful. Wealthy, even, he paused. And it doesn't mean a damn thing most days. Because I live in a big house with nobody in it but a dog. I eat dinner alone. I watch television alone. I've forgotten what it feels like to have someone to talk to. Really talk to. Thomas reached across the table, stopping just short of her hand. You gave me something today worth far more than lunch. You gave me 3 hours of feeling like myself again. Like a person, not just a CEO or a widower, just Thomas. Claire looked at him, really looked at him. So please, he continued, let me buy you lunch. Not out of pity, not out of charity, but because you've already given me more than you know. A tear slipped down Claire's cheek. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me drive you home. And maybe if you're willing, we could do this again sometime. Next time you can treat, even if it's just coffee. Claire laughed through her tears. Deal. As they walked to the parking lot, Claire stopped. Thomas, thank you. Not just for lunch. For making me feel like I wasn't a burden. The world has a way of making you feel like that when you're struggling. You're not a burden, Claire. You're good company. The best I've had in years. 6 months later, they were still meeting for lunch every Saturday. Sometimes Thomas paid, sometimes Claire did. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the friendship, the conversations, the gentle comfort of having someone who understood loss and loneliness and the courage it takes to try again. Thomas's sister Janet asked him once if he was dating Claire. No, he'd said. We're something better. We're two people who remind each other that life isn't over yet. And that, he realized, was worth more than any bill he'd ever paid. The greatest generosity isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in dignity preserved and humanity honored.